Sonine again, and we are now going to take the collar, the simple collar that we've done before, and we are now going to create a woven shirt, a technical flat of a woven shirt. So you can see just how easily it is to, change collars in and out and things along those lines. So let's get started. I'm going to File, New, and hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is remember File, Place. Whoa, I don't know what that was. Okay, so here's my flat template, and I'm going to place this. Now remember, hit template, but if you do forget to hit template, it's not the end of the world, okay? So you just hit place, oops, you forgot. So here's what's going to happen. This will come up on your screen, so just come into your document and put your template, place it kind of where you want it, and then at that point come over here in the layers palette, and you can manually dim it to 50%. And like I said before, it defaults to 50. If you want it a little lighter, then make it a little lighter. 50% isn't your cup of tea. So you have control of that. So I'm going to hit OK, but immediately lock it because, like I said, we have all been guilty at some point. I know I have, especially when I'm in a rush and I don't set up things correctly like this, and I'm trying to get something done, and I end up drawing on the template. I mean, obviously you can retrieve that, but let's just not let it happen. So here we go. So I'm going to add another layer, and it's just like if we had set it up from a template to go. So now what I'm going to do is, let's zoom in, and I'm going to begin the shirt. So let's come in here. And there are a couple of ways to go about this. What I'm going to do for this shirt is I'm just going to start here. I'm not going to worry about this part right now, and I'm going to show you why. I'm just going to go here and then come, do the shoulder, do a little bit off of the shoulder, come in here, set the arm, do the sleeve, come back in, and then you can either stop here if you would like, do a little, and then come down here and end. But instead of ending here, I am going to create just a small kind of tail of the shirt so I can show you something in terms of joining you might have issues with in the future. So here we go. So I'm going to come in, kind of just do this, and then come down here to make the tail. And then what I'm going to do is click here, pull out, and hold the Shift key so we know that it's straight. And we have this. So then what we do, remember, is you just select this, hit the letter O, not 0, hit the letter O for the shortcut of the reflect tool. Now, I know before we've just been hitting the middle line and reflecting it, but it's very important if you're going to use the join tool, and if you're going to join and you know ahead of time that you may in the future need to come back and do some editing, at this point, sometimes you're not right on, and so it will join and it'll look great, but if you zoom in closely, there'll be 2 anchor points, so when you go back in later to do anything else or to make any changes, you're dealing with 2 anchor points instead of 1. For this not to happen, it's really easy. Just make certain when you hit the Alt key, hit it on top of that anchor point that you want it. So I'm going to hold the Alt key down, hit the anchor point, this will pop up, copy, and now I know these two are perfectly on top of one another. Select them both and then join and join. So up here what we can do is if we hit Shift C, now the convert anchor tool will come up and we can just pull this down in perfect. Just like that, I have no anchor points in here to deal with, and if I want an anchor point, I'll add one later. But let's go down here. And you'll see now that I've direct selected this just to show you that it is one anchor point. And let's come down here for a minute, and I want to do something for you. Just in case this does happen, I want you to see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to come back here, Pen tool. Let's do something along these lines again. Come here, hit this, pull, hold the Shift key so it's perfectly straight. And then what I'm going to do is select this, hit the letter O for the shortcut, and then I'm going to hit this line. But sometimes we're not right on the line. So I'm going to hit Alt, hit over from the line, and it's going to copy. And so if we zoom in really closely, you can see that this and this. So why don't we just move it out just a little so you can kind of see. And this is what happens because sometimes when you use a center front line and the line itself is black, that's why I make certain mine is something violet, you know, red, something along those lines. So I can see there is a gap if I were to zoom in, but you know, like I said, it's not that big of a deal because what you'll do is you'll use your direct selection, you'll hit these two, and I'll just hit Command J, another shortcut for join. And this is what I mean. There are now two anchor points. Now if you zoom out, you can't tell the difference. It's only if you need to go back in later, you know, and then you might have to do some editing and you won't be dealing with these two anchor points. So if that's something that happens, just to let you know why it happens, I think it's important. Also too, if we zoom back in, let me show you another way. So let's do this. And like I said, we can tell that they aren't together. If you don't want this to happen, and another thing when you're joining is if you take these two and then hit Command Alt Shift J, do smooth. It's a join option, smoother corner. I'm going to hit OK. And then once again, now I'm going to direct select, and that is another way for you to always have one point. Okay, so let's move on this and come back to our shirt. So we have our shirt, and then what I'm going to do now is begin the sleeves. So with the pen tool, what I'm going to do is use the pen tool and use the shape builder tool. And so get the sleeve the way you want it, get it tweaked, you know, do whatever you want, then you'll end up reflecting it onto the other side. So I'm going to do the sleeve. Right now I'm just going to come do this. I can come back in later and do a little more if I want. Come in, come up here, and then make certain that it connects with the anchor point so I can make this a closed object when I'm using my shape builder tool. So select, click away. What I'm going to do is if hit Shift C, I'm able to come in and kind of play around with the size. You can play with handles, get it kind of where you want it, tweak it a little, come out like that, and then also too maybe here I might bring it up and out a little bit up here. And so like I said, just get it the way you want. We'll just leave it at that for now. And then what I'm going to do is, so there's not a mess later, if you remember backslash is, you know, take off the fill. So get rid of the fill. And then what we're going to do is, so it'll read cleanly, Shift M, which is a shortcut for the shape builder tool. And now it is a single object, and I can come over and fill it with white. And then as you can see, sleeve is now a separate closed object from the bodice. So after that, what we're going to do is come in and begin the cuff of the sleeve. So we can zoom in here. And so what I'm going to do, you could use the direct selection, select this line, copy and paste it to have the same angle, but I'm fairly confident that I can get fairly close. So I'm just going to use the pen tool here and go across. And it's telling me that I've hit the path, that it's connected. And my apologies, my phone isn't turned off. There we go. Okay, back to this. So I'm going to select both of these, and I'm, like I said, I make certain the fill is off, backslash, and come in, select them both, Shift M, and now we have a closed object here. And then back to this will happen, so you can just come in here and you can do your fill as well. Also too, if you would like to add anchor points, you could on these. So let's see, you know, just to kind of give a little bit of volume. And then I'm going to hit the direct selection on that anchor point and move it out. Also too, if I hit Shift C, I'm going to get rid of the handles. And so anchor point, direct selection, and then like I said, just to give the illusion of a little volume down by the cuff. And then here we go. Kind of zoom back out and kind of see where we are. So we have this, still closed object, and closed object. And then at this point too, zoom back in. If you would like to soften this a little, Shift C is again, and then you just come in and you can soften if you would like. Do what you need to do. I like to get rid of my handles and come back in when I'm just doing this section. That way I can kind of start from scratch, so to speak, and I have control. And there will be handles here as well, so just getting rid of those. If you would like, you could keep the handles here and just get rid of these two, and then you could manipulate it if you would like to do it that way. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to create the stitches. And so I'm going to use direct selection, A for shortcut, going to hit the bottom line, copy, Control C, Control F, paste to front, backslash, get rid of the fill, bring it up and over. And what I'm going to do is now come up here, or we can go over here. Why don't we do this? I am going to add a dashed line and then change it to this. And now I have stitches. And so it's preset. I have 1.5 point to 1.5 point. I mean, you'll play around with the different stitches, and we'll talk more in the future when it comes to stitches per inch and that type of thing. But for now, this is fine. Then I'm going to hit A again. Do the same thing. Copy, or select, copy, paste to front, move it down and over, and then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool and grab that stitch. And then at this point, I might need to come back in on this one. Direct selection. Let me take this guy and just move that anchor in just a little. It was outside. Okay, so now we can zoom out. And as you can see, we have now completed the simple sleeve. So the next thing we need to do is select the sleeve, and then holding the Alt key, or first hit the letter O, sorry for the shortcut, hold the Alt key, hit in the center, copy, and we have duplicated the sleeve on both sides, and somehow this guy didn't come with it. So let's go back and do it again, and it's because I didn't select everything. So let's try that one more time. Okay, so then O, Alt, hold down Alt, click the center line, copy, there we go. Everything came over this time. And then if you'd like to select everything at this point and group it, Command G, and you now have the simple bodice of the shirt along with the sleeves. And next video we'll address doing the placket and the buttons.